Rother Valley Country Park. More than 700 acres of parkland with 350,000 newly planted trees, including 3 lakes, one of them almost a mile long, to cater for all kinds of popular water sports. The whole area was specially made to order for the 3 million people who live within easy reach. Opened in 1983, in its first 2 years, the park has had more than 1 million visitors. They came to the park to enjoy and use the many leisure facilities that are available on the water or in the surrounding parkland.
Yeah, we come Sunday afternoon, because you come horse riding, don't you, for about 1.5 hours every Sunday.
Does she like it?
Well, ask her.
What do you think of it? Do you like the place?
Yeah. And she enjoys it, don't you, Dot?
Do you live locally?
No, I live in Barnsley.
You live in Barnsley. I mean, would you come here especially for the events here?
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of the place?
It's all right, fine.
Great.
Yeah, we've been all the time.
Yeah. Why do you keep coming?
Space, facilities for everybody. You just want to walk around as I did last Sunday.
Yeah.
It was enough. They could enjoy people doing what they wanted to do.
Well, we come down usually on a Sunday afternoon. We don't live far from here, and it's a nice place to come. The children like it.
Yeah. Do you do any water sports yourself?
No, I play football. Well, I don't know. I play for Sheffield Wednesday.
It's always kept clean.
Yeah.
It's all the open space. When it's a fine day like this, it makes it enjoyable to come out, doesn't it?
Right.
Beautiful.
What do you like? What particularly do you like about it?
Well, there's always plenty to do, plenty of entertainment for kids in there.
Right.
Spend a bit of time.
What kind of things do you do when you come?
Well, just look round, just spectate more or less.
Right, that's fun, is it? Do you fancy having a go at any of the things that...
No, I don't think I'm fit enough just now.
Thanks.
A lot of work has gone into creating Rother Valley Park. How did it all come about? The park lies within the areas covered by 5 local authorities, about 8 miles to the southeast of Sheffield city centre and within a couple of miles of junction 31 on the M1. This particular site had something special about it, something of great value: coal. It was one of several areas along the Rother Valley where the National Coal Board's open cast executive planned extensive strip mining operations. For centuries, this part of the Rother Valley has been surrounded by collieries, and over the years a rich haul has been garnered from the many coal seams hundreds of feet beneath the valley. The site was littered with the remains of industrial operations, refuse tips, and crisscrossed by the railways that served them. It was a scene of considerable dereliction. The River Rother was badly polluted and nothing much could live in it. In short, the whole area was in need of improvement, and coal could make the transformation possible. The 5 local authorities that had an interest in the site got together with the coal board, and it was agreed that when mining had been completed, the land would be restored and reshaped to meet the requirements of the planned park. Once the go-ahead to extract the coal had been given, the sequence of mining operations began. The topsoil was stripped away and stockpiled so that the fertility of the land could be restored as soon as possible after coal getting had been completed. Next, the layers of rock above the coal had to be loosened and removed. Although the coal was relatively near the surface, huge quantities of overburden, as it's called, had to be loaded and taken away. As each section of the site was worked, the overburden was taken to another area, where recontouring and restoration work was already going on. Altogether, 25 million tons of earth and rock were moved during the working of the site. To minimise the distance each load had to cover, and to avoid having to go outside the site boundary, a network of temporary roads and bridges was constructed. Plans for working the site had to take account of its role as a floodplain for the River Rother. The river had originally followed a course of nearly 2 miles through the site. The river was temporarily diverted, but still the site had to be capable, in an emergency, of holding nearly 1 million cubic metres of floodwater. The machines worked their way down to the coal by making a series of terraces, or bench cuts. When operations were in full swing, nearly 2,000 tons of material were being moved around the site every hour. In the centre of the site were the historic Bedgrave Mills, buildings listed for preservation. The mills had to remain, so mining operations moved carefully around them, leaving them supported on a pillar of coal. One after the other, the coal seams are uncovered. The top hard, the high hazels, and the kilnhurst. Here, none of them is more than 45 metres below the surface. A few miles to the southeast, and these same seams are still being worked in deep mines at Blidworth, Thoresby, and Welbeck. Here, something like 10,000 tonnes of coal has been scored and loosened, ploughed if you like, ready for harvesting. Several tonnes at every shovelful. Members of the Joint Committee of the local authorities and the Yorkshire Water Authority visited the site on several occasions to ensure that the final restoration would meet the landscape requirements of the park. With careful planning, by the time the last few thousand tonnes of coal were being won, the recontouring of the site, including the new course for the River Rother and the 3 lakes, had been largely completed. Subsoil, then topsoil, carefully stored for just this purpose, were replaced according to plan, as were 750,000 cubic metres of clay, which had been set aside to provide a waterproof layer for the bed of the lakes. By September 1982, the main lake was ready for filling. The chairman of the Joint Committee of the local authorities switched on the pumps, and 2 million gallons of water a day began to flow into the lake bed. The most southerly of the lakes, Nethermoor, near the village of Killamarsh, has been specially stocked with large numbers of mature coarse fish, including roach, bream, perch, pike and carp. Some of them up to 20 pounds in weight. To fish here, a Yorkshire Water Authority licence is required. Meadowgate Lake, the second largest, is a nature reserve. The margins of the lake are planted with marsh vegetation. The Rother Valley lies on a well-known route for migrating birds, and the new lake has been prepared to cater for them. Islands and deeper water, trees for shelter, and the surrounding meadowland will provide a home for a variety of wildlife. Access to the nature reserve is restricted to organised groups, accompanied by a park ranger. As well as protecting and encouraging wildlife within the park, the rangers will guide visitors, give lectures to groups, and supply information on the facilities available. The River Rother has been given a new course through the park, which will improve flood control in the valley. This hydraulically operated sluice gate controls the flow of water. Raising the gate will help to prevent flooding 20 miles or so downstream in Doncaster. In May 1983, the Rother Valley Country Park was formally opened. Many of the people who'd been involved in the project over the years met together and in time-honoured tradition unveiled a plaque to commemorate the occasion. Although the weather was inclement, the ceremony marked a considerable achievement. As an open-cast coal mine, Meadowgate had been a huge success. Transformed as a recreational centre for millions of people, the Rother Valley Country Park seems assured of being just as successful. At the heart of the park, between the river and the main lake, is Bedgrave Mill, now restored for use as a visitor centre. The oldest of the mill buildings probably dates from medieval times. While restoration was going on, archaeologists made a thorough investigation of the mill area. What they found provided useful information about the development of the mill and its farm during the 500 years or so of its existence. Great care was taken to carry out the restoration work in a manner sympathetic to the original buildings, using the traditional natural finishes of timber, brick and stone. One day, it's hoped, the water from this mill pond will turn a full-sized replica of the original water wheels and mill machinery. The group of restored mill buildings will be used for all kinds of displays and exhibitions, not necessarily just about activities in the park. More importantly, it will be a base from which visitors can explore the park and find out about what's on. Displays, demonstrations, competitions, events of all kinds, for both participants and spectators. The main lake has room for a 6-lane, 1-kilometre rowing and canoeing course, which is available for regattas. There is a slipway for launching craft, and changing rooms are provided on the quayside. An extensive network of roads and footpaths covers the park, connecting car parks and public transport access points to the various facilities available within the park. Trees take many years to reach maturity. You have to think of them as an investment for the future. By 1985, more than 350,000 had been planted. Rother Valley is one of the few places where you can go skiing in summer. Grass skiing is a useful way of keeping in training for winter holidays, or just trying out a new sport without spending a small fortune. At the present time, the grass ski slope is available for use by organised groups under their own supervision. Training courses are run for people who want to assess their skill, with equipment available for hire. At weekends and on some weekday evenings, visitors can hire horses for escorted treks round the park. In the interests of safety, only certain marked routes may be followed. Small boats are for hire too, on a separate part of the main lake. There is also an area set aside for the operation of model boats. Early stocking of the Nethermore Lake allowed the fish a spawning season before fishing started. Later on, fishing will be allowed in the main lake. In the meantime, the fish there will be allowed to establish themselves naturally. Parts of the Nethermore Lake are 80 to 100 feet deep, and on certain days, sub-aqua groups are able to practice here. The nation has won its coal, and millions of people in one of the most densely populated parts of the country have acquired a new and inviting countryside environment where they have a wide choice of sports and pastimes. Many of these activities have not been available in the area before. The Rother Valley Country Park has been made possible by cooperation between the local authorities, the public utility organisations, principally the Yorkshire Water Authority, and the National Coal Board. This cooperation has demonstrated that mining operations, often seen as a potential threat to the environment, can provide a unique opportunity for the creation of countryside leisure and recreational facilities at very little cost to the community.